situation we could be. We just need to leverage the property owner next to him. I mean,
It's a leverage game. I would agree with Larry on that. It's a leverage game at this point. But I do say that regardless of, our leverage is enhanced if we do something with Waverly Road. It's going to be diminished if we don't do anything with Waverly Road.
That was what I got. That's exactly what I was going back to then.
Yep.
And I mean, to Larry's point, I guess, with the parcel in between, how does a city market a piece of land it doesn't own, nor does it have future development plans? We can't market land for a farmer. We can't go and say, we have this land, we're not sure if they want to sell it or not, but we've got it here, and if you want it, then we can.
well,
How do you put that piece together?
well, I guess
Unless you buy the land
that's what we pay with the Southwest Johnson County Economic Development Corporation, in my opinion, to do, and that is to go out and be our salesperson.
On
So-
lands that are available as well.
I
I
mean-
would say that's the difference.
I
This
mean,
isn't
if they
land
brought,
available.
any landowner that gets the right price is likely going to be interested, especially if he knows that it's either that. I mean, think about it. If the value of land underneath an office park has, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, a lot more value than the land under a warehouse, right?
As long as there's a market for the office.
Yep.
And it depends if it's Class A.
I mean, there's supposedly 7,000 jobs coming to the intermodal, so
Yeah.
there's got to be people to manage them in suits and things like that, and other businesses that will service them.
We're starting to get.
It's a bigger discussion than we
It's a
originally-
bigger
yeah.
discussion, but let's. I mean, is there anybody that's against continuing to talk with the Zimmer people?
I think I'd be willing to go back to Zimmer and ask them what they'd be willing to do for the road.
Okay.
I think that it really comes down to what's their willingness to be able to handle that portion of the infrastructure. Because to me, the 183rd Street option is a non-starter. You can't send vehicles down, heavy haul vehicles down through a residential area. And so if they want to develop that property and they want to do it in the short term, they're going to have to pitch in something to develop Waverly Road.
And I'd also like to know what the ongoing maintenance costs associated with that
Yes.
are.
Well, I think if I remember the numbers, they've paid about $32,000 an acre when they bought it from the school district, and it's 80 acres, right? That's almost $2.6 million, and you're talking about a road that's twice that amount.
Yep.
They're not going to put that kind of money into that property.
I didn't say they'd pay for the whole thing. I said how much would they be willing to pitch in?
Well, that's another piece I think that we need to be cognizant of. It is, once that road's developed, it's developed for all those parcels of land. I realize we try to link it back to one developer, but when that road is developed, it opens up that corridor for heavy haul. And that leads us what's going to be developed in that part. We're not going to build heavy haul all the way to 191st or just to the east where Edgerton annexed in.
Yep.
But we're not going to do that for office parks at that point. And then from a developer standpoint, I don't know for certain, but I'm fairly sure that the cost to develop office space is much higher than it is to do industrial warehousing. So does the developer want to increase the cost of their development, and do they have the capacity to do that? If they've bought the land for the use as warehousing space, at this point they bought the land unannexed, so they can decide what it wants to be until that's been decided upon. So if we change that, then we might be looking for another partner in that space because they're not prepared to do an office facility in that kind of location.
And when I said chipping in, I meant to say if we create a funding
Right.
source, a capital fund, that we could then, basically, it would be an impact fee more than anything else. So developers, as they purchase parcels, will be paying an impact fee and putting it into this capital improvement fund specifically for the purposes of developing Waverly Road. And that would mean that we would have to look for other developers who would be willing to pay that impact fee.
All right.
But I'm just trying to think of imaginative
Right.
ways to be able to handle that road
Can we,
option.
really quick,
Yes.
we are starting to run out of time. Is it the consensus of council that we want to continue ongoing discussions with the people from Zimmer and Big Industrial? That's yes or no. I'm looking for
Yes.
consensus.
No.
Okay. Is there?
You're giving them a false
Larry?
hope on a bad deal for the citizens of this town.
we're having a discussion, I'm just looking for consensus. Consensus of council is, 4-1, that we continue negotiations with them.
That's a vote.
With that, no.
It's a sense.
So, if, and I think that because of that, I would imagine the consensus of council is that, Waverly Road needs to be in play. We need to figure out how it is going to be paved.
Yep.
I think that, with Edgerton having jumped the Waverly Road, line, I'm going to suggest that maybe it's Cheryl, who's got more experience than those of us up here on stuff like this. Is this a good time to maybe have a discussion about annexation boundaries with Edgerton? We tried a couple of years ago, we didn't get too far. A lot of turnover. I'm just,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yes,
Is there
it
anybody
is.
that doesn't think that it's a good idea to have
Pastime.
an ongoing, a discussion with Edgerton about annexation boundaries?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wants something specific to this brought to the attention of Mike and Cheryl and the other staff members before we transition to city council meeting?
I guess I have a question regarding, everyone's been talking about heavy haul on Waverly Road. Who says that that's what it's going to develop as? Has anyone said that that's going to be what's going up and down that street? I mean, where's this heavy haul coming from and going to?
I'm with you on that one. I don't know that we even,
That's all we've talked about.
yes.
We've talked about heavy haul almost exclusively, so
Well, and when we're
Maybe-
talking about the annexation boundaries, we need to talk to Edgerton about whether or not they've got any appetite for heavy haul on Waverly. I would imagine that they probably don't, but that's just a educated guess. So, I think that's where we at. Mike, do you feel like you've got something that you can work with there?
Yes, it was good discussion. Got some direction.
Cheryl, you happy?
Okay, yes.
Thank
We'll
you.
make contact with Edgerton and start to have a dialogue.
All right.
Thank you. We have a couple minutes?
We can take a minute.
I gotta go out, my car, my rules.
Okay.
I don't think that's it.
You know what, I thought maybe you were ditching us.